CeCe, what happened here? What went so wrong for the 76ers?
Well, one, I mentioned before, Brett Brown, the head coach, I don't believe is doing a good job in this series. There have been situations where I believe he didn't handle them the right way. Out-of-bounds calls, lack of timeouts, lack of getting guys organized, that he has played a part in every loss that they've had. Turn the ball over. Philadelphia did that during the regular season. It's cropped back up in critical situation. Them not being able to end. Ben Simmons, supposed to be their best passer, can't end the ball, inbounds the ball to Joel Embiid, who's supposed to be their best player. You got your two best franchise player. All we need to do is throw the ball inbounds, out of the side, out of bounds. Ben, a little lax, a little young, tries to throw a lazy one-handed pass that gets intercepted by Al Horford. Their inability, J.J. Redick, late in the game, he's the one guy got some experience. Him not knowing what to do. The play set, they give him the ball 35 feet away from the bucket.
That was hard.
Yeah, when you giving him the ball way out there for? So I've seen enough things between the players and the coaches that you can spread this around. You can't say it's on one player's. Collectively, this has been a bad 3 games for them.
All right, I know you can't say it's on one player, but I'm going to back up a bit. CeCe, talk your talk on Ben Simmons. This was your concern with Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons still, over the course of the year, I believe deserved Rookie of the Year, but you had big concerns about anyone that refuses to shoot outside of 5 feet in a playoff series.
Yeah, and he can't shoot. You can't shoot. When a team starts to lock you down from a game plan, they know your strengths and your weaknesses. It's very similar to what Dallas did in 2011 to LeBron James. And LeBron was such a better player. LeBron let it get in his head. Ben Simmons knows he can't shoot outside of 5 feet. But what it does with them playing the three-point line, that the lanes are there for him. He's got to be more aggressive on the offensive end. And this offseason, he's got to get at least expand to 8 feet. 10 feet. You can't be a star player and not be able to shoot the ball effectively outside of 5 feet.
Listen, everyone was ready to give this guy the league. And I love Ben Simmons. And I think his potential, I do think he's one of 3 active young players. Him, Embiid, Giannis are the 3 active young players who I believe have best player in the league potential. And that is a hard belt to earn. But
in doing that, you're just assuming, you're putting a lot of blind faith that he's going to be able to shoot the basketball.
Right. And by the way, to become that, he doesn't even have to become a great shooter. If he just becomes an average shooter, I think the rest of his skills and being a 6'10" point guard. But what he can't be is the worst shooter in the league that isn't a center. And that's what he's been in this series. And where Brad Stevens gets credit is where all year long, they've now played Philly 7 times. Ben Simmons has a negative rating, plus minus, in all 7 games. This is the first time all season for him. He's had negative rating in 3 consecutive games. And there was also a mental error by him that's not a turnover. Late in the game, you're up 1 in overtime. You get an offensive rebound with 20 seconds left. All you have to do there is hold on to the ball. Forget the fact that Philly's not even in the bonus. So if you're afraid of shooting free throws, you're not going to shoot free throws. What you can't do is put up a short arm floater. You're up 1. They're going to have to foul you. Like, that was the most critical error they made aside from the Redick turnover.
A lot of people are saying, well, he shot it because he didn't want the people to foul him. I don't think he's played in enough big games. I don't think he has the basketball IQ to be able to think that fast in real time. The way he grabbed that rebound, your brain does not transfer information that fast. So for me, it was just a bad basketball play by a younger player who just happens to not be able to shoot free throws. But we have to be able to spread that blame around. Brett Brown, we talked about him. We talked about Ben Simmons. But Joel Embiid, in the Miami series, he averaged 9 fouls per game on the opposition.
Drawing 9 fouls per game.
Yes, drawing 9 fouls from the opposition. In this, Horford, in 41 minutes in the game on Saturday, 0 fouls. He's only got 4 fouls in the 3 games that they've played. So Joel Embiid, what he was doing and was very, very effective in the first series, hadn't been able to do that to the level that he was doing it the first round.
I think the thing we saw and the way the Sixers were going were this team was going to play as Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid plays. They were going to go as these 2 superstars went, and it was working. I mean, they were electrifying, and as soon as Joel Embiid came back into the lineup, the 2 of them were playing great. It's not the same thing for the Celtics. They didn't have 1 or 2 or 3 guys that just stood out so much that were going to carry and lead the team, and you you saw what happens when Ben Simmons stopped playing well, and you need more than 22 points from Joel Embiid every night.
And those shots they were taking against Miami by Bellinelli and Ilyasova and at times Redick that were, objectively speaking, awful shots, but they were going in. Now in this series, just look like awful shots. And Joel Embiid, listen, I might have been too early on both these guys. I still have amazing hopes for their potential and what they will become. But I said going into this series, they have 2 of the 20 best players in the league right now. Ben Simmons has been nowhere close, and Embiid's been getting his lunch eaten by Al Horford. Like, that can't happen. It just flatly cannot happen. And now you do wonder. Philly is feeling great. They won 20 of 21. Now they got punched in the mouth those first 2 games in Boston. They have not recovered. And now they're done. Like, I think they can win game 4, but they're done. Like, their season's over.
Yeah, they had this game under control, too. There's no excuse for them to lose this game at home.
Would you look at the Sixers season once they lose, if they lose here, and say this was still a success for them?
You just have to be real about it. When you look at the injuries and where Joel Embiid came from, Ben Simmons, you got to look at the totality of it. He's going to be Rookie of the Year. No, it's not a failure. They have done well. Those players are still developing. We didn't know Joel Embiid can play back-to-backs. Wow, we didn't know that he was going to be as effective as he is. We know that. Also, the role players, they can still grow this roster. When we start talking about the early LeBron, pre-LeBron, like, they should be in the LeBron sweepstakes because this is not a finished team. Regardless of what happens against the Celtics, you can have a great deal of success, measurable success that you can look at.
This season's an enormous success for them. However, this is the worst team for them to lose to. If they could pick any team that's going to end their season, they lose in second round Toronto, no problem. Cleveland, no problem. If they'd been upset by Miami, you deal with it. But when you're playing, when we look at the Eastern Conference, let's assume LeBron goes to the West. Let's just take LeBron out of it. You say, what are the 2 teams in the next decade in the East? Philly and Boston. If Boston beats you handily without their best player and their second best player, and they have more draft capital than you moving forward, that's going to leave a tough taste in your mouth for the offseason. So a huge success, but the worst possible ending to it, given who their opponent is this round.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.